these webinars. We thank you all and appreciate your participation in it. We will get started in a couple of minutes, but we wanted to just say hi and let you know that we're here. So make sure you're all ready to go, because we're going to try and keep everything to our time restraint here and give you all the information that you're desiring you can use to quickly grow your business and do what you need to do online. And so as people are filtering in, we will get started in the next 2 minutes. And I see some folks on here that some of the names that I recognize, like my friend Judah. I hope you're doing well, my friend, which I'm very excited that you're on over here. I see a couple of questions coming in for people. Joe, I know you over there in Connecticut. I hope you're doing well over there, my years back. And let's see, who else do we have on here that I'm recognizing as I'm scrolling through all of them? Cindy, oh, I hope you're doing well. I know you spoke with Tony last week, so that's fantastic, my friend down there in Florida. And let's see, who else is on here? Brenda, I hope you're doing well. Becky, oh my goodness, Becky, representing the Arizona over there. I love it. I love it. I'm glad that you're on, my friend. I got your email, so Nicole will follow up with you later. Let's see, who else is on here? I love taking a look at all the folks that we have on here. Let's see. Nate, it's been a long time. Your name looks very familiar to me, sir, so I hope you're doing well. And then we have Phil. I hope everything is going well with you, sir. I know we had touched base about a month and a half ago, so I'm excited to see you on here today. You're going to get a lot of great information from Valerie in a moment. Sam, man, down there in the Texas, how the heck are you? Fantastic. So glad you could join us today on the webinar. And let's see who else is on here as I'm scrolling through. Terry.
Too.
Oh my goodness, what?
I see a lot of recognizable names too. There's so many folks on here that we've all kind of hung out with and done business with. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I love just saying hi to everybody. Terry, I love your report. Congratulations on the success that you're having. I got that from you the other day. So we're getting started here. So we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. It's at the top of the hour. So make sure that you're all your screen is open and we're good to go. I see a whole bunch. Everybody's responding in the questions. This is call in question here. You should be able to listen on your computer, or you can call in, whatever you prefer. If you have speakers on your computer, you can listen there, or you can call in. Val, do you know the call-in number for the attendees?
Sure. It should be on their email that they received. So if I can give you the dial-in number, but everybody was emailed their own access code. Okay. So the phone number, though, is 646-307-1706. But you can listen on your computer speakers if you want. I just switched that over. So if you're having a hard time dialing in, you're welcome to listen through your speakers on your computer if you want to. Everybody's muted, though. We cannot hear you. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. So we're just about ready whenever you are.
Yes, so I'll turn it right over to you. So folks, without further ado, let's turn it over to Valerie Van Boeven from LTC Action Publications and find out how we could add $1 million to our business on top of what we're doing this year using the internet to get those home care leads. So go ahead, Val.
All right. Thanks so much, Steve. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And this is a presentation that I've given us several times, but I added a lot more to it this time. And it's pretty everybody always asks for the slides and can they, have all this. So I do put the slides on SlideShare, and they're not downloadable, but you can certainly read them, take notes if you want to later. And I will send that email out to everyone, and I will send the replay of this out to everyone, as will Steve and his staff. And as far as questions go, here's what to do. We want to take questions from as many people as possible. So you're going to type them in the little dashboard that you have. There's a little questions area. You can type a question in any time you want. You do not have to wait till the end. But at the end, we will go back and take questions, as many as we can fit in and get through. We will take all of them that we can. So happy to do that for you. And I also want to let you know, and this is one of my slides at the very end of the presentation, but for any of you who are intending on or are going to, and I hope all of you are, going to Steve's boot camp in Washington, D.C., August 13th and 14th, you really, really, really should try to attend that, especially if you live anywhere on the East Coast. It's so easy to get there. Try to attend because think about what I'm saying to you today on this presentation, and know this, that by the time you leave that boot camp, we want you to have 2 or 3 appointments set up with potential referral sources before you walk out the door of that boot camp. And we're going to use some of the strategies I'm going to talk about today. So without further ado, here's the agenda. We're going to talk about the importance of combining your online and offline marketing. I'm going to explain what that means. We're going to talk about the tools that you need to make the formula that I'm about to talk about work. And I'm going to take you through step by step on how to get in to see Mission Impossible referral sources. So Steve is really the king of direct referral marketing, but my job is to help you understand the importance of your online presence, because today, guess what, everybody's online, and how to take that piece and marry it up with your direct referral marketing and your community outreach and make at least $1 million more this year, because you can do it. You have to understand the concept and the formula, but you can do it. So what does it mean to combine online and offline marketing? Well, last week, or a couple weeks ago actually, Steve did a big webinar. We had the biggest attendance ever. By the way, that one we had about 530 or so people register for. Today's webinar, we have about 430 folks who have registered. And one of the things last week, or the last time that we did this, Steve talked about the Home Care Pulse report. And what he mentioned there was that approximately 80% of home care leads come from a combination of direct referral marketing, which is offline, and online marketing combined together. So your actions like community outreach, sponsoring events, speaking engagements, senior fairs, milestones, caregiver of the month or the quarter, all of that should be discussed and highlighted online on your website, on your blog, as an article, in your e-newsletters, things like that. So what we're talking about here is taking all that stuff that you do all day. You're hitting the pavement, shaking hands, looking people in the eye. You have to do all that stuff. But when you bring it all back to the office and you sit down and you write it up and you post it online and you post those pictures and you use your website to your advantage and your social media, then the ball starts to roll a lot faster. So that's what we're talking about. So why would we do this? Well, first of all, your entire audience is online. Your entire community is online. You're really marketing to the adult children of the aging parents and directly to your professional referral sources. So 99.999% of those people are going to have a phone, an iPad, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, something that they're getting online with. And what you want to remind them of is that you're not just there in person, but you're also there online and available to help, whether it's because they have a referral to send you or their parent needs help. So if you go to an event, by the way, and let's say it's a senior fair and it's a small one and only 100 people attend it, that's okay, but 1,000 or 10,000 people in your community might read about it online. So if you never say a word about that event that you attended today, then the only people who are going to know or maybe know that you were there were the 100 people that attended. But if you take that information and you put a paragraph together and take a couple pictures and you put them online, then 1,000 people might know you were there, or 10,000 people might know you were there, and they might understand your passion for community outreach in the world of senior care and elder care. So it's really important that you don't just reach out to the folks that show up for the event, but you reach out to the people who won't show up for the event. And I hope that makes sense to you, because you really are doubling and tripling and quadrupling your reach when you do that. So here's a little formula. Steve likes formulas. I like formulas. Here's one that I came up with just for this online plus offline. So your online events, your offline events, OE, offline events, meaning your senior fairs, your speaking engagements, you're hosting something, you're doing the Alzheimer's walk this fall, you're doing the Susan G. Komen Race for a Cure, whatever it is you're doing that is a physical interaction with people, including things that happen in your office like Caregiver of the Month, Caregiver of the Week, Caregiver of the Quarter. Maybe you're celebrating a work anniversary or a key employee's birthday. People love stuff like that, and that is an offline event. That is something you're participating in physically offline. All of those events, when you combine them with your online marketing and you put them in a place where other people in your local community will see them, read about them, look at the pictures, then you are building trust, credibility, visibility, and of course, leads. So you are building trust, credibility, visibility, and leads. And you need all of that to make more money, to make a difference in your local community. So here are the tools that you're going to need in order to make this happen. First of all, I want to say that Facebook for all of this is very important, and LinkedIn and Twitter and Google. But you really, 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 really need to have a website that has a real blog attached to it. And probably most of you do. If you have a website that never changes, that you cannot add content to, then you're still living in 1999 and you need to come up to 2015 here with us. You need a website with a blog, and you actually need to put something on it in order for it to work for you. And you also need to have a feed. So let's just, without getting too technical, I'll just say this. If you have a WordPress website, it automatically has a feed associated with it. So every time you put a post, that post is added to your website's feed. You don't have to add one. You don't have to create one. You don't have to ask your web designer for anything. If you have a blog, if you have a website with a blog, a place for you to put articles, one at a time, not all on one page, then you have a feed. If you don't understand that, we can talk technicalities later, but certainly you have to have that. You need to have a monthly e-newsletter, and everybody moans and groans, ugh, that's painful. You know what? It's painful if you don't have one, because here's the deal. I always preach about something called follow-up failure. We all suffer a little bit from that disease of follow-up failure. Sometimes in our lives we are so busy and we wear so many hats that there is no way we can get back to every single person who we'd like to get back to. Sometimes that even includes family and friends. So with an e-newsletter, if every time you hit an event and every time you go somewhere and you're participating and you're networking and you're talking to people, if you obtain their email address, either because they have a business card or because they write it down on a form for you or whatever it is, you put those folks into a system that delivers an automated newsletter every single month, then you are golden, and at least you know that you have avoided follow-up failure. That doesn't mean you shouldn't follow up with them in person and do all the cool things that Steve tells you to do, because you should. But at the very least, you should have them on your e-newsletter. And just so you all know, the way we do this is a very free way and a very automated way. If you've ever heard of Ron Popeil, you know that he does an infomercial. It's 30 minutes long about some kind of rotisserie thing, and he says that you can set it and forget it. Now, I'm not really up for the whole forgetting it part, but if you have an e-newsletter that is RSS fed from your website, then you can go to MailChimp.com, you can set up your newsletter, make it pretty, and then make it an RSS fed newsletter, and you can set it and forget it. So as long as you are adding content to your blog, you will be able to have a newsletter go out to all of your professional and personal and community contacts every single month without fail. So it does work. We do it all the time, and it increases the amount of traffic to your website, the amount of communication that you have with people in the field, and all kinds of other things. So you have to have number 4. So number 3 is the e-newsletter. Number 4, the ability to post an article to your website or to have someone else do it for you. So for those of you who do have a team, there should be someone in your office who is accountable, held accountable for making sure that there's new content on the website. Hey, Steve, can you mute your line for me? So you should be able to have someone in your office or you be held accountable for making sure a new article goes on your website every single week. And that could be the event that you just attended, the event that you're about to attend. One event could be 2 different blog posts, the before and the after. All of those posts that you put there can also be placed and should also be placed on the next tool that you need, which is a Facebook business page. And all of that content should go directly from your Facebook business or from your website to your Facebook business page, and there's lots of ways to make that happen. And also, they should be going to LinkedIn.com, to your professional, personal, and your company profile on LinkedIn. It should also be going out to your Twitter account and to your Google+. So these are the 8 tools that you need in order to make this happen. Definitely a blog, definitely a feed, definitely an e-newsletter that takes feeds, a set it and forget it e-newsletter. Someone who's held accountable to make sure content goes on your website every single week without fail, and some social media accounts set up to accept that content. This isn't that difficult to accomplish, but once it is accomplished, you will have a much, much greater community outreach than you ever had before. So those are the tools. All right, so here is step 1. This is step 1. After assuming you have all of those tools set up, here is the first step in this process. And the first step is to identify 3 potential referral sources that you would like to do business with. So think in your head about all those hospitals that are out there. If you don't know who to contact, look on LinkedIn and see if some of those discharge planners and case managers are available on LinkedIn. Think about geriatric care managers who are out there. Think about elder law attorneys. Think about the rehab. Think about the, any of the other assisted living facilities, continuous care retirement communities, independent senior living, whatever you have in your community, whether you have received referrals from them or not, and if you have not, that's probably the best person to put on this list. Identify 3 potential referral sources you would like to do business with. So if you can write those 3 down, then the next step is, and I'm going to give you the step-by-step inside of the step-by-step here in a second, is to set up an appointment for an interview with each of these referral sources. And everybody's thinking, what do you mean an interview? So one of the things that's really hard to do is to convince somebody, and Steve's got all kinds of tactics and strategies, and he does a great job of showing you exactly how you can market with your marketing partners, how you can get in the door with folks. This is just another example of a way that you can get into the door and get some feedback and get some relationships started using your online presence. So as part of step 2, you're going to set up an appointment with some folks, and you're going to act like you're a reporter for a minute instead of a home care agency owner or whatever your business model is. And you're going to say, in my example, this is Valerie from ABC Home Care in St. Charles. Now, I could either be emailing this person, or I could be picking up the phone and calling them, or I may have to do both in order to get this done. But this is Valerie from ABC Home Care in St. Charles. ABC Home Care is currently in the process of highlighting a local senior service facility or business in our area. Now, you're going to want to be a little more personal than this. You're not going to just want to read what I just wrote here, but I'm just giving you the example of what you're trying to accomplish. We're trying to, we want to highlight a local senior service facility or business in our area. The chosen senior care facilities, like Golden Oaks Assisted Living, will have a featured interview and an article in our monthly e-newsletter, on our social media accounts like Facebook, and on our website. We would like to schedule a time, or I would like to schedule a time to talk to you and tour Golden Oaks Assisted Living Facility, and we'll be publishing your featured article, within like 2 weeks of that tour. So I was wondering if you'd be available this Thursday at 2 o'clock, or is there a better day or time for our tour? So you're not just touring, and Steve talks about this a lot. Even though you're asking for a tour, which of course he'll do for you, you're not just touring, you're actually asking if you can kind of interview them and feature them on your website as a blog post. We're not putting them on the home page, we're doing a blog post or an article about them. You're going to take a couple of pictures while you're there, not of residents, but of the outside of the building, the sign, maybe the person that you're interviewing or the director. You know, just take a few pictures that are not of residents or people, but, you know, or just take pictures of the professionals that are there. And then do a little article about them. When you present yourself as someone who's trying to help them, and you're really personable and really upfront about it, we just want to highlight different folks on our website, and we thought you would be a great example of that. We really like the way you guys have everything set up. It's a beautiful facility, and we'd love to come out and talk to you. Would that be possible? They're probably not going to say no. I mean, you're not asking them for referrals. You're not asking them for anything, you know, super crazy. It's just basically a tour and an interview. So, of course, you're going to get in the door. So step 3. You're going to set up that appointment with them. You're going to go interview that referral source and take that tour of that facility. And you're going to get all of the interviewees' contact information while you're there. So you're interviewing maybe the director of marketing, maybe you're interviewing the director of operations, or the person who's the discharge planner, or the person who is the social worker. Whoever you think you can access and whoever you can get into and is the best fit for you as far as getting referrals and getting your foot in the door, then you want to make sure that's the person you try to get into this interview. You may even ask if there are a couple of people you can talk to, because and just tell them how excited you are about their facility. So get all of their contact information, get their business cards, get their email addresses. The first thing you want to do is make sure when you get back that you add that person to your e-newsletter list, because the next newsletter that goes out is going to have an article in it about Golden Oaks Assisted Living, and you want to make sure that those people that you just interviewed, or the director, or even if they weren't on the interview, receive that newsletter and see that you actually had them in the newsletter. And you want to be able to email them the link to the site. Okay, and inside of step 3, of course, there are a whole set of interview questions. I'm going to tell you every single one of them. You may think of more than I am about to tell you, but here are the ones that I came up with. So first of all, the name of the company being featured, of course, the type, some of those you can answer yourself. Type of company, assisted living, the street address, city, state, zip, contact person for consumers. So if somebody does want to come and take a tour and they are a consumer, who is the best person to contact? And the contact phone number for consumers. So which phone number should they call to get that set up? The person that you're interviewing, their role, of course you want their website, of course you want every email address you can possibly get. And here are the interview questions. So first of all, and you may know the answer to this, just hear me out on some of these, because you may think, duh, but let them talk. Let them talk to you and tell you the answers to these questions. Be a great listener. And ask them what kind of clients come to you or your business. And that seems like a really simple kind of dingy question, but they probably have a type of client that is their ideal client that comes to them. And that might be someone who has a certain level of income. It may be someone who maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they can be on Medicaid and come live at their facility. Ask them more in depth than just, obviously, if it's an assisted living facility, it's someone who can't live alone anymore. But ask them more than that question. What kind of clients come to your business? What kind of clients do you really want here at your assisted living facility? Now, you're not going to put all kinds of details like that in your write-up, but you need to know this information so that you can talk to them intelligently down the line. What kind of challenges are these folks facing, and how does your business provide a solution? Let them talk. Let them think about it. Let them answer. What makes your service or business unique from other similar businesses in town? So what sets Autumn Oaks or Golden Oaks Assisted Living apart from, you know, Autumn Bridge or whatever it is? So without names, do you have any stories about a senior or a family that you've helped over the years? One that really sticks with you, that one that had a happy outcome, that really, you know, tugs at your heart. Ask them about those things. Ask them to reminisce about things that have happened while they've worked there, especially if they've been there a long time, that are so happy and so, you know, make families want to be a part of that. So really get down to it with them. Tell us the specifics about your service business, the number of beds in the facility, number of clients, type of clients, how people find you, community involvement, et cetera. So kind of the normal stuff that you might find even on their website, but let them tell you some of these things, and that leads to more questions. So inside each one of these questions, there's a whole conversation, and that's the object of this game, is that you're not just interviewing them and writing down answers. You're conversing with them. You're asking them what their challenges are. You're asking them, you know, what things are going right. What are the happy parts of this job, and what are the happy parts of this assisted living facility, and what are the challenges, and, you know, what do you wish, you know, if you had every wish you could, you know, fulfilled, what would it be? You know, just have a conversation with this person that you're talking to. Is there anything else you would like the people in your local community, in our local community, to know about your business, service, or facility? So let them answer that question. What else is it about that facility that most people don't know that you would like them to know? For instance, that 90% of the ladies that come live at our assisted living facility tell us they wish they'd done this 10 years earlier because of the socialization, because they're involved in activities, because they feel more independent now than they did living at home alone. So ask those kind of questions and make sure you bring out in that person all the great details. And then you'll have an easy time writing up this little article. So step number 4, think about this as you're interviewing the person. What else should you be doing while you're chatting, interviewing, and gathering information? You should be, of course, planting seeds. And I know Steve has gone over this about 1 million times, at least for me. So I know that when you listen to Steve talk about how to do direct referral marketing, about how to have marketing partners, about how to get in with these referral sources, everything you do is about planting seeds for the next visit, planting seeds for that eventuality when they're finally going to open their eyes and refer to you. This is another opportunity for you to do that. Maybe you've gone in there 3 times and gotten nowhere. This time, go in there armed with an interview and an opportunity to highlight these folks on your website. So start planting some seeds every time you walk in the door. And here's another Steveism, BMFM. This is hurricane style now. So book a meeting from a meeting. So you go in for an interview, you go in there and you tour the facility, you talk to them, you have a real conversation, make it worth their while, make it worth your while, have a great time with it. But before you walk out that door, make sure that you have an appointment to come back and drop off a copy of that article, that newsletter, so you can leave behind more brochures and information, so you can answer any questions they might have, so that you can leave a thank you note that explains why you'd like to continue forming a closer relationship with that facility. Go above and beyond the call of duty, but make sure that you bring all this stuff back with you when you come back for that second visit. Make sure you set up that appointment. So if you know that that newsletter is not going to go out until June 15th, and today's June 1st, you have 2 weeks to get in the door. You have 2 weeks to get in the door, get the thing written, get it up on your website, and you know that on June 15th at 7 a.m. Eastern time, or whatever time it is in your time zone, boom, that newsletter goes out. So don't make that appointment to come back and see them, and you should have all of this laid out before you ever walk in the door. Don't have that appointment to come back and see them until after June 15th. So you want to make it June 15th, 16th, 17th, so that you know that you're going to have in hand a printout of that newsletter, a printout of that article, written down the links. You can even email it to them in advance. Make sure, actually I wouldn't email it to them in advance because then they could cancel the appointment, but make sure that you know and they know that when you come back, these are the things that you're going to present them with, and you just like to say thank you. And you can answer any questions. So make sure you book a meeting from a meeting, and that's hurricane style. Step number 6, go back to the office and write the article. And if you need a little template on what that should look like, I will happily email it to you. So what you need to do is you need to email me to get the template, and that's Valerie, V-A-L-E-R-I-E, at ltcep.com. So that's L like Larry, T like Tom, C like cat, E like egg, P like Paul.com. ltcep.com. Valerie at ltcep.com. So write the article. I will send you the who, what, when, how, why, where template so that you can write it up really fast. Edit it or have someone else proofread the article. Do not present your potential referral source with a goofed up looking article that's full of typos. That will embarrass them to no end, and it'll embarrass you. It should embarrass you to no end. So you want to make sure that you have somebody else proofread that article before it goes on your website, before it goes out in that newsletter. And then post the article to your blog or website. Go ahead and get that up there. Make sure it goes out in your next newsletter. Make sure. So I wanted to give you guys some examples. And by the way, if you haven't done this yet, if you do have questions about what we're talking about today, go ahead and start typing them into that little dashboard that you have, because I will take all of them at the very end. Here's an example of one of our clients who does this without fail every single month. Love her to death. This is Carmen Davis. She's amazing. She owns Assisting Angels Home Care. She's been a client of ours for about 1 million years. And I didn't harp on her any more than I harp on everybody else about doing this, but she does it, and she's a very successful home care agency owner, independent in South Carolina. So she writes up a little article about a different senior service or facility every single month, and it goes out in her newsletters, and it's on her blog. So this is a blown-up picture of her blog, but this is one of the facilities that she highlighted. So if you want to see her website, it's assistingangels.com is her website, assistingangels.com. But this is from May 4th. This is her blog post that went up. She had a little picture of the facility, and she has a little article in there about it. So you can see that. Perfect, right? Okay, so here is her two things. On the top left-hand side, you can see her monthly newsletter. It's not the whole newsletter because the other half of it's kind of over here on the bottom right. I couldn't put the whole newsletter in. You wouldn't be able to see it. So she has a very simple newsletter that goes out. You don't need by the way, let's talk newsletters for just 1 second. This is a very simple looking newsletter, but I will tell you this. If you have a complicated, insane looking newsletter with thousands of pictures and this and that and the other thing, it will get spam filtered instantly. So you've wasted your time with a giant HTML driven newsletter. Keep it simple. Keep it text-based. Also, keep in mind that you are not your client. And some of your clients, referral sources, adult children of aging parents are not web savvy. So when they get an email from you, it needs to be easy to understand, easy to scroll through, and easy to click on. So we keep it very text-based and very simple. And the open rate is much better than one that is laden with insanity. So just remember that. There is a purpose behind everything we do. So you can see the table of contents on the left-hand side, and you can see that she has a couple of different things that she's written and some things that we write for her. But one of those is feature facility of Assisting Angels Home Care, Greenville Place Assisted Living. So, and then I just kind of blew it up here over on the right. There is a little snippet, and then if you click on the Read More button, where does it take you? Right back to her website, which is what it should be doing. You don't have to have full-page articles in your newsletter. This is an RSS-driven newsletter. It's a set it and forget it, and she does a fabulous job of contributing along with the stuff that we do for her. And then you can click on Read More, and it goes back to her website. That is how a newsletter should operate. You don't need full-page articles in your newsletter. Okay, so this is just a picture of some social media stuff. So you can see that her assisted living facility that she highlighted in that article, here's the article itself, and you can see that there, and it's posted on her Facebook page. And then on this bottom right-hand side, you can see where it showed up in her LinkedIn feed. So it showed up on her Facebook or LinkedIn. I didn't do Twitter, but Certainly, she has 500 plus followers, all probably very local to her, and so she's highlighting this facility for all of her local followers and her local friends and fellow business owners, and that's awesome. So this is what it's all about. This is what makes a difference. Now, what Carmen did in between her follow-up with them and book a meeting from a meeting and all that, I don't know about all that, those pieces, but I know that when you do it right and it comes together, this is what makes Greenville Place Assisted Living one of the reasons why they probably like doing business with Carmen, is because she shares her marketing with them, and they hopefully in turn will share some of their marketing with her. So step number 7, come back to drop off a copy of the article and newsletter on the appointed day and time that you told them you would. Of course, leave behind more brochures or information, answer questions, and leave that thank you note that explains why you would like to continue forming a closer relationship with that facility. So this is step number 7. And step number 8. So you get all of the things, actually 7 steps in this whole thing, but I put it in 8th step that will help you stay organized, because you don't just do this one time for an assisted living facility or a rehab center or a hospital or a case manager or a discharge planner or a social worker or a geriatric care manager or anyone else you want to interview. You don't just do it one time. You can do it every 6 months. It doesn't hurt to go back and have a reason to go back. You should go back more than every 6 months. However, you can make this a point to, especially for those who are referring to you and are starting to get the hang of this, you can go back to them every 6 months and do another highlighted article. So, for instance, in this case, it is June of 2015, and let's say that article comes out sometime around June 15th, 2015. Wouldn't it be interesting to go back to this facility around the holidays and do another little article about all the different ways they celebrate all the holidays for all of their residents, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is that they have going on? It would be really great to go back and highlight all the activities that they have going on for the holidays, family get-togethers, maybe Santa Claus comes and the kids come out, whatever that is. What a nice write-up that would be. So one summer and one winter article for each facility that you really want to do business with. So in order to do that, and you can use Google Calendar, you don't need anything fancy, you can start what's called an editorial calendar. You can mark down all the people, facilities, and things that you want to interview for the next 2 months, and then skip ahead 6 months and boom, put them back on the calendar again. And when it gets closer to the time to interview them again, start making that appointment. So get everybody scheduled for the next couple of months. You can do 1 a week, you can do 2 a week, you can do 2 a month, whatever you want to do, whatever you have time for or can make time for. Get those interviews in, get them out in your newsletters, and then boom, redo the whole thing again in 6 months. That way you're hitting a different season or different time of year. So those are the actual 8 steps. And if you continuously do that, if everybody in your town knows that you highlight a different referral source or a different senior care facility or senior service, and they start to see that, and your list grows, now you have got, within a very short period of time, tons of professional referral sources on your newsletter list. They're seeing not only themselves, but they're seeing other people that are being highlighted. And that's not a bad thing, because competition isn't bad. You are actually doing a great service for your community in highlighting some of these people. Some of them work together great, some of them don't, but the reality is everybody's reading your paper. Your e-newsletter is the one everyone's reading. And that's great for the consumer, it's great for the folks that are in it, and it's great for the people who are seeing how much actual community outreach you have. And you don't have to tell them that you have 5 people on your newsletter list, because by the end of all this, you'll have tons of people on your newsletter list. But if you start out with a low number, that's okay. It'll grow over time. The object of the game is to get in the door, have a conversation, and develop a relationship. So I have 2 items for you. Actually, I'm going to take questions now. This isn't a really long webinar, but I have 2 things for you. First of all, if you want more scoop, you should always join homecarerevenuebuilders.com. homecarerevenuebuilders.com. You should join, and then you get lots of insider scoop. But more importantly, and one of the reasons we're here today, is that we want you to come to the Hurricane Marketing Bootcamp in Washington, D.C. in August. And if you sign up to come to that, and for everyone who does sign up, I'm going to start sending an email out just a few weeks in advance to let everyone who's coming start thinking about at least 2 or 3 referral sources that they'd like to get in the door with. And we're going to apply a little workshop kind of a setting during one of my talks. We're going to apply some of this information, and we're going to get at least 2 or 3 appointments for each person who attends before they walk out the door. Because while we're there, we're going to take some of these actions and some of these steps, and we're going to learn what we're supposed to do, and we're going to talk to each other about how that might sound or how that might go. And then when you go home, you will have those appointments set up, and you'll be ready to execute this plan. And it'll be one of just a tiny spot of just many, 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 many of the strategies that Steve is going to teach at that boot camp. But I wanted to leave you with at least one way that you can get in the door on top of everything else that Steve teaches. If you want to register for the boot camp, you go to homecaremarketing.net. At the bottom of my screen there, homecaremarketing.net/bootcamp. It's that easy. And I think if you put in VAL50, VAL50, I think you get $50 off. But I'd have to ask Steve if that's really true. But I was told VAL50 will give you a $50 discount. And so with that, I'm going to start taking questions. Does anybody have questions? I'm going to look at the questions list. And Steve, are you there? Oh, Steve, you might be muted. Steve. Okay. Let's see. Everybody's saying, hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. Hi, Steve. Hello, hello. Let's see. How can I get a hard copy after the web? Okay. So I do not send out hard copies, but I do put everything on SlideShare. And it's not downloadable, but you can look at it at any time.
Valerie?
Yes.
Ah, good. Shoot, I'm sitting there, I'm talking for like 5 minutes with you, and you're not hearing anything. I was like, technical difficulties. So,
oh, that's great.
No, but to everybody, this was a fantastic information. What you had brought up with I love the interaction for those attendees for the boot camp, because they're going to walk out of there with appointments set up to come back to and immediately start executing everything that we'll go over. So thank you so much for that, and I know everybody's going to love that. So.
Oh yeah, we're going to do a really in-depth little workshop on this, and some other things added in there too that I didn't talk about today, but we're going to do it all together so they can, start, I'm going to give everybody's going to get the email, everybody's going to have all the information they need in front of them, in paper or in writing or in email, so that they can take these steps while they're at the boot camp, and we can practice together on how this is going to work. So I think a lot of that will help. So I was just going to go through.
Your promo code was correct. It is VAL50.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, VAL50. If you want to go to hurricanemarketing.net/bootcamp, come see us in Washington, D.C. Please, please, please. It is a fabulous time. You will never regret it in a million years. It's always been fun. A couple of questions I have are, can you email me a video of the replay to watch later? Yes, we always send out the replay of all our videos, and you're welcome to share it with anyone you like. And then we have a question. What if you – okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was reading through these for you. I answered a lot of these for everybody individually before as it was coming through. But Raghu asked, what if you get directed to their marketing department and you don't get a chance to actually talk to the referral source? So I'm thinking it's probably thinking, what if you don't get so in this case, like a social worker is who the person is making the referral, but this person is being redirected to the marketing person. What would you do in that situation?
Okay, so here's the deal. First of all, the first person you want to try to contact is the actual social worker themselves, if you have a name, phone number, email, business card, anything. If you know who that person is, or you can ask for them. Call there and say, can I speak with say, can I speak with the social worker? And say, and preface this conversation with this. I realize I can talk to your marketing department. I know that's very possible. I'd really like to talk to you because you are the person who really sees what a positive effect Golden Oaks Assisted Living has on these clients. You're the person who is, and maybe it's a rehab facility or a hospital, you're the person that's sending them home. You're the person that knows the positive impact that your services have had. And I know the marketing person's great. I love to speak with them too. But if nothing else, I'd love for both of you to be in on this interview because I know as a social worker, you're going to give me just a really great set of information that I can share with our local community. And I'd really like to talk to you too. So just, ask for the social worker. If she doesn't want to do it, just try to get both of them there at the same time. And explain why. And it really is because the marketing person has a preset set of, stuff they're supposed to say to you. And that's okay. And it's not horrible to get to the marketing person if that's the only person. But if you can get the social worker or maybe say, hey, I'd love to get a picture of the marketing person, the social worker, and maybe the director in a picture together, if you don't mind, for the article, because you guys are the heart of this facility. You are the people that make this place tick, and I'd love to meet all three of you. See,
fantastic answer.
Can't imagine them saying no to that, but anybody you can get in with is better than nobody at all. And if you only get the marketing person, but you can get the email addresses of the director and the social workers or whoever you can get email addresses for while you're there, at least be sure that when you come back for that appointment, you've emailed in advance and say, hey, I'm going to come by. I'm bringing this information. I'd love to stop by and say hi to you. There's all kinds of ways you can weave in those extra people, and Steve's the master at that. So if anybody else can, if anybody can really tell you how to do that, it's Steve. But you can use any excuse you want to kind of make sure everybody gets to see you when you come back. Is there a need to review the article? Oh, go ahead.
There's a lot of people asking also for your email. I'll type it in here. What email do you want to share?
Oh, sure. It's Valerie, VALERIE, at ltcep.com, ltcep.com. And I will send you the write-up so you can see what it looks like.
All right. And now, is there a need to review the article with them before publication, and can this be a reason for a follow-up?
It's kind of up to them. If whatever reason you have to get back in the door and meet with them on a regular basis is okay with me. If you want to use that as a reason to bring the article by, but they're probably going to say, oh, can you just drop it off, or can you just email it to me? I mean, who can't just really email it to them, right? Because, and they want to proof it, that's fine. And if they do want to proof it, that really is okay. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem with that either. But coming back, setting the appointment to come back and share the printouts with them, and to make sure you leave the thank you card and whatever else you might bring with you, your brochures and things like that, that's really an excuse to come back and actually physically be there. Sometimes if you're just having them proof the article, all you're doing, you may stop by, but they're not going to sit there and read it while you're there. So, but any reason you can think of to get back in their good graces and get back in their presence and talk to them a little bit more is perfectly okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then we have a question from Judah, and his is kind of like a two-part question. The first thing he says is, do you think it's a problem if many skilled nursing facilities are on my list of my e-newsletter, and then they get an article that I wrote about their competition down the road? How do you think they would feel or take that, number one? And then the second part is, how often should we send out our newsletters, weekly, monthly, et cetera?
Okay, great question. So first of all, you want to mix it up. You want to rotate through. So when I say 3 top referral sources, try to pick 3 different facilities and then repeat that, 3 different types of facilities. And, they don't have to be a facility. They can be a human being, like a care manager or a elder law attorney if you want. I mean, you can mix it up. You don't have to do 3 skilled facilities at a time or anything like that. So if you do mix it up and you do 2 a month, let's say, you get 3, set up 3 interviews, but you put 2 in your newsletter, something along those lines, or maybe all 3. Just, they're all different each time. So the ones that they're highlighted in are actually not going to have a competitor in it. You're doing 3 different articles, and it's a rehab, an assisted living facility, and an independent living facility or something like that. So you've got 3 different non-competing people or facilities or communities in your newsletter. So that's number 1. And if they're highlighting it, that's the one they're going to be sure to read. Now, they may read the rest of them that come in, but when you set up this interview or you set up this meeting and you talk to them, you need to be very open and honest with them about the fact that you're interviewing lots of senior resources in the community. It's not just them. You wanted to start with them, or maybe they came to mind because someone recommended to you how great they are. So they're next on your list, and you'd like to set up that appointment. But just be honest with them. We're interviewing lots of senior resources in the community, and keep in mind that you are actually going after facilities, locations, people that you want to get referrals from. So there may be 3 or 4 skilled nursing facilities in your area that you want to get referrals from. Spread them out. Do one of those a month, and then fill in a couple of other different types of places over the next 4 months. That'll keep you pretty busy. And they won't be as offended if they're not in the same article with another skilled facility, or in the same newsletter with another skilled facility. Think about how this is going to roll out. Do your editorial calendar a little bit in advance. That's why I say look at your Google Calendar. Pick a day that your newsletter is going to go out. Make sure that you have everything written and on your website and in your social media before that newsletter goes out. And plot it out on your Google Calendar as to who's going to be in that newsletter. What day do you have your appointment set up to interview them? What day is your newsletter going out? Get all of those things in a row. You should have an appointment calendar anyway, so adding to this and making sure that your editorial calendar is mixed in there is a really great idea. And you should only send out a newsletter once a month, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, unless you have a lot to say 2 times a month. But once a month is plenty for a newsletter.
And I love the way you put that, Valerie, in there. And you're 1,000% right. Like, don't be so concerned about all of them. If you want, you can mix it up. So say you're using skilled nursing facility this month. Next month you can interview an assisted living. The month after a home health. The month after a hospice. By the time you get through all the different referral source types for us, it may be 6 months, 8 months before you interview another skilled nursing facility. So it's not a huge challenge or an issue when you're doing this on a regular basis. So that's fantastic. Now somebody had asked if you could repeat step 7, but I think for time reasons I'm going to say watch the replay, because you are going to send a replay. There'll be a replay that goes out to every single person who is registered, so you can get step 7 in there, because I know there's a lot of other questions here, and I want to move on to some other questions that could be answered, because step 7 is, it's all of step 7. Nate asks, what about pay-per-click, Valerie?
No. So, well, okay, here's the deal. Yes, that's easy. For home care purposes, let me just say this. You must build your organic presence. Pay-per-click. If you were a plumber, Nate, I'd say go for it. In home care, in senior care, what happens is when you put a pay-per-click ad up that you provide the best senior care, best home care in the area, 400 different people who need a job will click on that ad and spend your $400 right then. So my recommendation is this, and this is a particular problem with the home care industry and pay-per-click. Nobody from Yodel or Reach Local or Google are ever going to tell you this, but I will tell you this because we've done it about 1 million times, and we've learned over and over again what happens. If you put up a pay-per-click ad, I'm not saying it's something you should never do, maybe on a low budget, like $300 a month minimum, you could do this. But what I'm telling you is that caregivers are the lowest hanging fruit. And as soon as they see that ad pop up on their mobile device because they're searching for a home care job, they're going to see it. And no matter how many negative keywords you put in, like to eliminate people who type in the word jobs and stuff like that, you're still going to get job seekers. and you're still going to waste a whole lot of money on job seekers doing pay-per-click. Facebook ads, a completely different story. But I'm not a fan of pay-per-click for home care. If you need to do it to generate some instant leads, it may or may not work for you. You're welcome to try it. But another thing to know about pay-per-click is this. The minute you turn it off, it's gone forever. You've accomplished nothing. If you build your organic presence and you do it correctly with a good website, with content every single week without fail that's unique to you, when you do that, you build something that lasts a very, very long time, even if you stop. So it's better to build your organic presence than it is to waste your money on pay-per-click. And if you are going to do it or experiment with it, keep it on a very low budget level. There you go.
Awesome. Very good answer. I see a whole bunch of questions here asking about the boot camp. So I'll just say real quick, the boot camp is August 13th and 14th. It's a 2-day event. It's going to cover online, internet, lead advertising and marketing, which is what Valerie covers. It's going to cover direct referral marketing, which is what I cover. And we also have Brandy Kurtaka, who is the owner of My CNA Jobs, and she's going to be talking about recruitment and retention. So when you add all three together, what Valerie does with the internet, with what I do with the direct referral marketing, that represents 80% of your revenue growth. And then you throw in the recruitment and retention strategies and techniques that Brandy is going to be discussing. It's going to give you the supply, because obviously the biggest challenge is finding people to provide the services that we're trying to market and sell. So when you get all three of that trifecta together, it really gives you everything you need to blow your business up. And Valerie just gave you a way to add $1 million in revenue from the internet here. I'm going to talk about the other $2 million in revenue, so you have a $3 million operation and being able to handle it. So this is definitely a do-not-miss event. And a couple people asked about group discounts. If you have a party of 3 or more people you want to bring to the boot camp, I recommend you give us a call. The phone number is 848-444-9865. Again, it's 848-444-9865, and we do have group discounts for groups of 3 or more, but give us a call and we can take care of that and set that up for you. Space is limited. We are selling out. This will probably be sold out in the next couple of weeks, so check your calendars and book fast before it's too late. Now, a question, Val, here from Paul. It says, which do you think from various referral sources is the priority to do the article on? Would it be SNFs or assisted living or retirement facilities, hospitals, et cetera? What would you recommend here, Val?
Well, you know what? You're probably the best person to answer that because you know where most of the referrals come from. And I've heard you say it, so I'm going to say rehab facilities or SNFs, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say rehab facilities or SNFs, depending on if they're well qualified or not. Really, any of the above, Paul. I was kind of talking about that before when Judah had asked about the SNFs in particular. If you rotate it through, so this month interview an assisted living facility, and then next month interview a SNF, and then the next month after that interview a home health, the month after that interview a hospice, the month after that interview a CCRC. You know, if you mix it up, this way it doesn't get stale and boring. It's always fresh. It's new. It's not the same thing or another person that does the same thing. You can really use it to your advantage. And definitely check out that webinar that we did a couple weeks ago on how to grow a $3 million plus private pay agency. That particular webinar, I kind of ironed out how you can bring on 100 private pay clients from 4 different referral sources, and I kind of mentioned each one of those that I just walked through right now. So it'll give you some good feedback, and I hope to see you in Washington. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Frank asks, the website you shared, assistingangels.com, is that a WordPress site? What specific services are you providing to them, like newsletters, et cetera? What do you think on that, Valerie?
Okay, and I saw some question that asked about pricing too, and I will just say this.
Yes,
yeah.
Bonnie asked that. What should you charge for an outside professional to manage your online presence?
Sure. So I'm going to just answer all this sort of together. First of all, if you're a home care agency, you want to make sure that you're not just using a fly-by-night service, because you cannot afford to have crappy content or goofy-looking website that doesn't work, or and trying to communicate with people across the Atlantic Ocean that are in another time zone about, the latest update you want. You really want to make sure that you talk with folks who understand the home care business, who have worked in the home care industry, who get it as far as senior care, because your audience is much different than that of a plumber or a roofer or a lawyer or any other general, kind of job category. Home care is different, and it's different because this is an emotional and a big financial decision for these families. So the articles that you write and the website that you design has to answer and solve those problems and those issues. So I would say that anywhere from $300 to $600 to $800 a month. It depends on how much content you want. What is happening on your website? What kind of services are the person providing? Now, as far as Assisting Angels, this is an older website. There's a whole suite of brand new websites that you can look at on our main website. But it is mobile optimized, and yes, this is a client. Yes, we do her content every single week without fail. She adds to that with her own local community news and what we call company news, which is what you should be doing. She absolutely does it correctly, and we do put together her e-newsletter for her, and we do send that out for her. It's a set it and forget it kind of a thing, but we don't really forget it. But we do have it set up as an RSS feed. So yes, and we do manage her social media. So yes, this is a person that has been with us for a long, long time. She does very well, and she does take advantage of the advice we give her. And I appreciate that about Carmen very much. So that's kind of the answer in a nutshell. Go ahead.
All right. So we got, there's a couple of them here, but some of them are kind of like similar. So
sure.
One is from Julie, and Julie asks, what if you have multiple locations? Should you do 3 a month, like one? So if I have 3 offices, should I do 1 per month for each of my locations, or should I do 1 that covers all 3 locations?
And that's a good question, and there's a few variables that depends on. If your offices are very far apart and they are not relying on the same referral sources and they are not marketing to the same territories, then you may very much want to have 3 different newsletters going out to from 3 different locations, and those staffs in each of those offices handling the interviewing and the talking for each of those newsletters. So it depends on how close or how far apart you are. If you have offices that are fairly close in nature and are on the other side of town from each other, but they service a lot of the same community, and they're, so you can have 1 newsletter for them, all 3 of them, and you can have 1 set of referral sources being interviewed each month. So it really depends on how far apart, if you're in my example, if you're in St. Louis, Missouri, and you have an office in Columbia, Missouri, people in Columbia, Missouri don't know who people or who businesses or people are in St. Louis, Missouri. They don't talk to each other. They're too far apart. They're an hour and a half to 2 hours apart. Even if they're 45 minutes apart, sometimes that's too far depending on how crowded your state is. So you just have to kind of think about it in that way. If they're close together, you can do 1 set of everything for everybody. If they're really far apart, you might want to divide that up.
There you go. Very good answer. And I had somebody ask a question about, I don't see it up here, about the franchise. Oh, how can you get around posting newsletters if you're part of a franchise? Typically, you can't change or add content to these websites.
Okay, so every franchisor, every home office or corporate office does things differently. So if you have a website, a mini website or a sub-site of your corporate site, and you can post content to it that is not corporate content, you have to be able to do that in order to make this work. So if you have a website that allows you as the franchisee, and you should have this, by the way, I would be upset if I didn't. Anyway, you should have the ability on your local website to post your own content in a blog sort of format. If your site is WordPress, and you may or may not know that, but you can find out pretty easily, then you should have the ability to post your own content. Some franchisors will require that someone eyes in their office approves that content before it goes out. Some franchisors don't care at all. Sometimes you just have to ask the franchisor, please add a blog to my site. And you may not know that you have to ask, but they'll do it for you. They just don't do it until somebody actually raises their hand and says, hey, can you add a blog to my local site? And they say, sure, and they just do it for you. So there's all kinds of parameters you need to talk to your franchisor, but most of the franchisors that we work with on a national basis do let the franchisee at the local level post to their own website with local content. And if you can do that, and you have a feed associated with that local content, then you can send out your own newsletter anytime you want. You don't have to use the corporate newsletter. That's something you can turn off. You can set up your own local newsletter that's fed by your local website through an RSS feed, and it will work for you.
Awesome. And there is actually one other question I skipped over real quick, just asking about like templates. Do you have a template for each referral source type? Like if I'm interviewing a hospice, I use this template, home health, this template, SNF, and so on?
You know, I don't have one that's specific to each type because I think a lot of the questions kind of apply to all of them, but we will make sure that we have that for the boot camp. So we will have separate templates for questions and a separate write-up for every single type of, not every single type, but some of the big senior service businesses that you would want to get referrals from. We'll do 4 or 5 of them, and that way everybody will have a copy of that. But in generally speaking, you can pretty much use the same template. You might have to brainstorm a little bit on the questions and just really think about what you're going to ask before you walk in the door. But the questions that I put on the screen are pretty close to correct for any facility type interview.
Awesome. All right. Well, this was fantastic. Well, Valerie, anything you want to say in closing?
I hope that folks can come out to the boot camp, homecaremarketing.net/bootcamp. If you're on the East Coast, take the train, easy enough. Come out and see us, and we'll be happy to go, much more in depth on this. It's always a great time. And if you have any questions for me, or if you want one of the templates that I currently have, you just email me at valerie@ltcep.com, and we'll get it all mailed out to you. And I enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody, for attending. It's been great, and great questions, by the way.
Yeah, it was fantastic as always, and thank you again for putting this together. I know I appreciate it, and everybody else appreciates it, and hopefully, folks, we'll see you in 2 months. Register.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.